guys, Chris with the Tiger's Den, back for another Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 video. I wanted to talk a little bit more in depth about the 4 characters from Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3's latest DLC. Let's get into it. Okay, so the latest DLC, Curse of the Vampire, came out that featured an interesting take on the Gauntlet mode, where it kind of pushed story in a way that I honestly didn't see coming in this game, but at the same time it delivered onto us 4 more male superheroes. And I put heroes in quotes because one could argue that some of these just are not. But regardless, let's get into the 4 of them, pros, cons, and what this means going forward. So the first character I want to speak on is Frank Castle. Punisher is the first character that you're allowed to unlock during this DLC expansion, and he does not disappoint. His stats, energy, strength, really solid. Durability, resistance, and mastery, less so, same with vitality. But I'll be damned if he doesn't have one of my absolute favorite attack strings in the entire game. I love that every weapon in his arsenal is effectively used during that attack string. So it's really cool. And his moves really shocked me how much I like them. Heavy Artillery is a retreat move that deals decent damage, but it's a retreat move that I like almost as much as Cyclops. So, I mean, that says a lot. Fire in the Hole, yeah, it's Punisher. He's gonna have some sort of, explosive ability. Great. Not my favorite move. Smoke Screen is probably his most surprising move to me. With a B rank in damage before damage is even upgraded, he's blinding foes and then melee striking them. It's honestly, it's shocking how much I appreciate the move. But I think where he really shines is Sniper Shot. This is a projectile bash ability that you're going to have to hold the button to charge. Now, what I really like about it is that it pierces enemies. So once you get this upgraded all the way, the stagger damage, EP cost on an ability like this is really hard to argue, in terms of its quality. Okay. Now, the second character that you're going to unlock in the expansion is Blade. Everyone knows who Blade is, I think, at this point. Blade has a bonkers amount of vitality. He's got a decent amount of energy and durability. His resistance and mastery are obviously where he really suffers. Strength, I think, is kind of a given. Blade, as well, has a really good attack chain. I would argue that he has 2 swords, Nightcrawler has 2 swords, but I prefer his attack chain over Nightcrawler's. In terms of his moves, I think that's where I start to get disappointed. I just talked about Punisher. Punisher has a really good ultimate ability. Blades is just okay. I like it, I just don't love it. But his spinning swords, it's a really good move. His high stakes, another really good move where he's shooting from his gun, silver stakes. Off the Chain is an okay move to me. It feels like a less good version of Daredevil's area assault ability. But where I think he really suffers is Bleeding Edge, where he throws his glaive at people. Now, I love that it bounces off people, similar to Captain America's shield throw, but it's just not as good as Captain America's shield throw, especially because you need to charge it to really get the most out of it. Now, one of the things I really like about Blade, though, is that all of his powers have at their, essentially their second rank. It says rank 3, by the way, but you unlock 1 rank for free. So, but the second time you put points into any of his moves, they're going to increase the power of charged abilities. All of Blade is charged abilities, all of them. So you can use them as a one-off, but you're going to get the most out of them from strategically finding space to charge. And so I think you're going to have to use strategically your ISO 8s to prevent him from being interrupted while doing those charges. And I think that's a real shame because there's more you could do with the ISO 8s to improve on Blade than just prevent him from getting knocked around. Of course, the third character that you're allowed to unlock is none other than Moon Knight, Mark Spector, everyone's favorite Marvel Knight. I say that I'm really not sure. It feels like him and Punisher have pretty equal popularity for that Marvel Knights run. But regardless, I've heard him be called things like the poor man's Batman, and that really sometimes feels the case. Moon Knight in here is okay. His basic attack combo, though, I feel like takes from what would have been, and I'm just saying it, Gambit. If Gambit were to be invited into the Marvel Alliance, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 family, his basic attack would have essentially been what Moon Knight's is. Now, we've not had any characters duplicate attacks, so I'd be curious to see what they do with Gambit that would be so different from Moon Knight. I'll get to that in his abilities, too, because right here, his first ability, Moon Landing, is you hold the button to aim, and he jumps in the air and slams down using his staff, while that to me feels 100% like a Gambit ability. And then Vengeance Burst, where he's throwing out his crescent boomerangs, essentially. His crescent batarangs. Vengeance Burst. I mean, it's a good move. It just, again, it feels like, wow, if those were exploding cards, this would be Gambit, right? Khonshu's Fury is the move of his that, sure, Gambit probably wouldn't have, where he's swinging nunchucks in front of him, pressing repeatedly to continue. This is an okay move. I mean, without even upgrading your damage, it's a B on a barrage. That's pretty good. And then his final move is Crescent Kick. He, pops in, kicks out. It's a decent move. It's a launch. There's nothing to shy at there, but it's just not like a mind-blowing move. His ultimate is super mediocre. Like, mediocre almost to the point of, ugh. So Moon Knight to me was kind of a disappointing character because Moon Knight did two things for me. One, eliminated my thoughts that maybe Gambit would make it into the X-Men expansion. And two, because he's such a fan favorite in the video game community, not in the comic book community, because those books never sell, but in the video game community or the online community, he seems to have a huge following. So it's really disappointing to me that more time was not put into Moon Knight and making him feel like a special character. It's a disservice to the fans, and frankly, it's a disservice then to Gambit fans, because I genuinely believe that Team Ninja is doing that thing where they don't double up. That's why we're not seeing Ant-Man in the game currently. I do believe they're not doubling up, and so if these are really Moon Knight's powers, then I would kiss your thought of seeing Gambit goodbye. Then the final and hardest character to get out of the expansion is Morbius. The whole story centers around Morbius, what he's done, and how it's affected our universe. Now, Morbius has a basic Claws and Fangs ability. Jumping forward, he drains health, but he boosts his own damage. So this is like a life steal or strength steal, similar to if you ever watched the Spider-Man animated cartoon. What Morbius was looking to do there, where he had to drain people, and it was like of their life force. That's kind of what Claws and Fangs is. Vicious Vamp is, when you cap it out, it's like A damage, C stagger, C EPUs, piercing barrage. That's what it is. He just slashes in one direction. It's okay. I think his next move, though, Slashing Strike, is where I really start to lose patience with the design of this character, because he closes distance on foes. It's, if you ever played the Justice League game back in the day, this move feels like the Flash's, dash attack move, where he'd zoop, hit you, zoop, hit that guy, zoop, hit that guy. That's kind of what Slashing Strike feels like. So it's a piercing move, and it's not bad. It has no bonus to stagger though. It's like E by when it's fully maxed out. It's like E. My problem with it is that again, it does not synergize with anything. What is that about? So that just makes me not want to use the move. I'd rather use Claws and Fangs. I'd rather use Vicious Vamp, and I'd rather use them in conjunction, for God's sakes, to boost my power and then deal a massive amount with a barrage. Like Slashing Strike almost feels like I'd want to use it as an escape more than I'd want to use it as an engaging move. Now, where Morbius really gets me, though, and this is where I'm kind of torn on the character, Hypnotic Gaze. Hypnotic Gaze has no synergy, it's no attack type. You can reduce its EP cost, increase the duration and the effectiveness. It's essentially him staring at people and paralyzing them. Honestly, this move is really good, and that's the problem. Oh, it's such a problem because he has these like 3 moves that can be used in conjunction really well, but he just does not play well with others as much as you'd want him to, because literally half of his moves have no synergies, and of the 2 that do, it's a charge and a barrage. That's a problem. On top of that, Morbius, for whatever reason, has no dodge ability. His dodge ability is the equivalent of Venom's, where he just like scoots out of the way, or the Hulk's. And I'm not ragging on them. Like, the Hulk has that because he has massive health and durability. Venom has that because he has really high health. Morbius has decent health, but his resistance and durability are terrible compared to other characters at the same level. So it's almost like, you know, you have to consistently get away with him. Now, don't get me wrong, Morbius does have flight, and he does have a healing factor. I did find it weird that Blade didn't have a healing factor, by the way, and I did find it weird that Moon Knight has something called Glide, which, by the way, is like a worse version of flight. It's just ridiculous looking. It looks like Zelda from Breath of the Wild, but less cool. And Morbius's ultimate, by the way, not great. So, where do I come down on this DLC expansion? In terms of characters. Well, if I had to rate them, I'd say, for me, it would go Punisher, then Blade, then Moon Knight, then Morbius. And even that, Morbius and Moon Knight might be flipping at some point. Because Punisher, while not my favorite character out of the 4, all 4 of his abilities synergize. He has a good dodge, his basic attack is awesome, and his ultimate is awesome. So that makes Punisher a huge asset for me. But then you start getting into Blade, and I genuinely question, like, okay, now I have stuff that's not going to synergize. Why is that? I have, you know, the issue that I have with Morbius and Moon Knight, where they're either mediocre or they don't fit, I believe, the mission of those characters. And then the last thing that I want to talk about with these characters is the team bonuses, because I think that's important. So when you stack the 4 DLC characters together, first off, you're going to get 3 cuts of anti-hero. Punisher, Moon Knight, and Blade will fit anti-heroes. You're going to get a 4% bonus to your strength, okay? And that's important. You're going to get 2 stacks of Gods and Demons from Blade and Morbius, so you're going to get a 2% health bump. Back in Black from Punisher and Morbius and Blade is going to put you at 6% extra resistance. And here's where I'm going to start getting cheesed off a little bit. So, Punisher and Blade are going to give you Sharpshooters. Sharpshooters gives you Mastery, okay? All 3 other, well, the 3 other, not Punisher, so Moon Knight, Blade, and Morbius, are going to give you 3 of Midnight Suns, which adds to Mastery, okay? Then you're going to get Marvel Knights, which, P.S., all 4 of them meet the criteria of. So you're going to get even more Mastery. So this team put together has a 4% strength, 6% resistance, 2% health, and 15% Mastery bonus. Why does this core 4 here need a 15% Mastery bonus? I do not get it. Most of their abilities are melee. The abilities that aren't melee are not usually energy. So I genuinely don't understand it. It seems like a really weird bonus to give. You know, I'm fine with the strength, the resistance. I like that. Had they swapped Mastery and Resistance, I would have felt way better. But they didn't. So yeah, this is just a weird team bonus to get. And I think all in all, I come down on the 4 DLC characters. I think all in all, I come down on the 4 DLC characters as more of a mixed bag. You know, some really great ideas character-wise, some swings and a miss. And that's That's bound to happen. I would assume that because of Miss Marvel, the Fantastic Four set is either going to exclude Reed Richards or make him not as good as her. And I think out of all of the sets, even the core heroes, I did not find Miss Marvel or Miles Morales or Deadpool. There's certain characters in that base set that I did not find compelling to play for stats, abilities, like team bonuses, for whatever reason. So you're bound to, if you have 50 characters in your game by the end of it, you're bound to have some swings and a miss. What I am happy about, though, is that fans of Blade, who has been in a previous Marvel Ultimate Alliance game, fans of Punisher, Moon Knight, who I believe both have been in other Ultimate Alliance games, they are getting their characters. When you have a roster of 50, it's kind of like Super Smash. Everyone wants to see their favorite guy. I understand that's hard for Marvel. There's 5,000 some characters in the universe. But it's really good to see the staple Marvel Knights make it in. Now, Morbius is an interesting choice, but when you take a look at the story for the DLC, it now makes sense as to why Morbius is the fourth character and not, say, what's her face, Hellcat or Damon Hellstrom. It now makes sense that it's Morbius and not one of those solo characters. Though I do think Patsy Walker would have been a good addition at number 4 rather than Morbius. I'm still okay with this release, and I do enjoy the 4 characters added. I said this in my initial thoughts video on it, which was that if this is the measure in which all of the DLC is going to meet, I'm very happy, and I think $20 for the 3 packs is more than justified. Like, that's one of the best deals in gaming right now. So take that for what you will. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me. I've been Chris. This has been the Tiger's Den. You guys have been great. Make sure, if you're new to the channel, you hit that like and subscribe button. Hit that notification icon. And thank you so much for joining us. What did you guys think of the DLC? I posted a review of the full DLC, but I wanted to get into a breakdown specifically of the characters. Are there any of these 4 characters that you specifically were looking forward to? More characters that you're looking forward to in the future? Let us know in the comment section below, and thank you guys so much.